April Fool's Day is celebrated by many Americans on November 30th. This is also one of the few days where everyone gets to dress up as characters from various historical and fictional stories and have them participate in a themed costume party or game. There are many games and costumes, such as those that include different outfits of knights or soldiers. The most popular ones include knights. Knights are an older but still popular character. They act and play a knight's role while they wear armor and carry swords. There are a number of games where they're more than just a character. The most famous of these is Kingdom Wars. Warriors. Warriors were played by people who played other roles. They acted and fought alongside soldiers to defend their kingdoms. Gentlemen. Gentlemen have traditionally been used to play the part of gentlemen. They wear suits like what you'd see in an English boarding school or an American business suit. The main difference between them is that they have long hair and they wear makeup and perfumes. Gentlemen tend to be more polite and have better manners than businessmen. Most gentlemen do not get along very well with one another, though. They usually fight over the same women. Often it is because of jealousy. Women. Women are typically depicted as women who do many things differently and who enjoy wearing men's clothing. They are portrayed as having much less fear than gentlemen. Gentle women can act more boldly, even if they do not fight quite as often as gentlemen. The history of April Fool's Day begins with the birth of April Fool, the first person to use the phrase as a joke during the spring season. His original name was Joseph P. Andrews, and he was born in 1837. He grew up working at his father's store, where he learned to love jokes and would often make his customers laugh. As he gained confidence, his jokes became less silly and would take on a sense of humor as well. However, he didn't realize until much later what an impact he had made on the world, when the term started to appear once again as a joke. In 1865, the year after the invention of the automobile, he published his own paper in which he introduced the concept of a pocket full of New York City. In 1866, he wrote the popular Maypole comic strip, The House of Ushers, wherein he created an elaborate series of characters and events that gave the impression of a town. In the 1870s, this piece of fiction came to be known as Pockets Full of New York City, a collection of the works of Joseph Andrews, and became widely popular, bringing about its creation as a parody version of the Maypole cartoon. These comic strips served as templates for many others to follow, and they became a staple across America in the late 19th century, eventually becoming a foundation for a national comic book industry. Around 1890, Andrews decided to try his hand at writing poetry in verse. After a couple of years, he realized he couldn't continue this route and tried to find something else to work towards. He moved on to create the next generation of comic books. Hacks, Hides and Hides, Hacks, Hiders, Hiccups, and some other things, and Hiders. Although each new collection was based upon a single original idea, Andrews felt they could all be classified as originals in certain respects. The best example of this was his last collection, Hooks. However, his final work is probably his best known. It was called Hocus Pokey Hives, and he wrote it for children between ages 5 and 11 years old. For some reason, the book sold out within weeks. Many years ago, he said, he thought it might become a hit. Now, with the publication date coming up in just a few short months, he found himself thinking about whether it would be worth it, or if it would be better to sell it elsewhere. He never finished the book. And that's the story of how April Fool's Day became a classic holiday of the American West, became a recurring event in the lives of many American citizens, particularly in the South, and one that inspired countless comics creators and fans across the globe. Stay tuned for Hocus Pokey Hives.